From the heart of Kansas City, we bring you Buk and Bob Take on Chiefs Kingdom, a podcast not full of a bunch of people that say they know what they're talking about. It's a bunch of people that, just talking at a bar about something they don't know what they're talking about.
That's right. I'm Buck. I'm loud and obnoxious, and sometimes I overreact. Sometimes. But it is what it is.
And I'm Bob, the author of Bad Takes and a knack for pissing people off. We're also joined by a new person over here. We have Melissa. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Hi.
Melissa's my wife. She's the one we talk about, tells us to put stuff in the podcast.
And she's my friend.
Mm-hmm. She's also a seasoned podcaster in gaming. She's part of one of my largest podcasts. And then she's also ran her own podcast.
Of one of my podcasts. I'm just saying.
This could be true. This could be true. But she's also ran her own podcast aside from me. She's very accomplished in the podcast world. First off, we're gonna talk about the game and what happened after we just watched the Raiders game. I want you to excuse the sunglasses, but the future's looking bright, so we kind of needed to wear shades.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, we saw tonight with DeAndre Hopkins and kind of how that opened off the offense a little bit. I think that as time goes on, we're gonna be able to enjoy the games a lot more.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't super involved. I mean.
Yet.
Yeah, but he did come out second play of the game, get a big catch. He got a big catch later on in the game.
I mean, for as little time that he's been with us.
It's his 5th day as a Chief.
Yeah, I feel like he came out and killed it, right? Like, how much do you expect from him after?
He was here for 4 days, right?
I expected it less than what we saw. I was very impressed.
Mm-hmm.
From what Andy Reid said in his presser leading up to the game is that he was first in the door. Since he's been here, he's been first in the door and last out the door. He really tried to catch up. Seems like a seasoned professional. I am just excited to have a receiver of this caliber. We haven't had a receiver of this caliber in I can't remember how long. I mean, yes, okay. Besides Tyreek Hill, but I'm saying,
but he wasn't acquired as a seasoned wide receiver, though. He created himself here.
We built Tyreek Hill. We gave him the opportunity. He came in the league as a running back, so it's really neat to see, just to have him here. And I don't know, it looked good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I'm in love with this team and the possibility. I kind of feel like he's filling in the absence, the void of kind of what we expected out of Hollywood Brown. I know they're not the same receiver, but it's the same. For me, it's kind of the same expectations. I want to see some production. I want to see some spreading out of the defense. Get Kelce open a little bit more. Yeah, that's what I want to see, and I think we saw that tonight a little bit. And man, it was
him being on the field just
changes things.
You could see it in the way defensive coverages were going. Him being on the field was just, I mean, Hopkins on the field changes the game. They have to be scared of him. They have to be. I mean, you saw Kelce, 10 receptions for 90 yards and a TD. I mean,
to be fair, the Raiders didn't really have time to prep for him either, though, right? Like, they weren't sure how involved he was going to be. They weren't sure. So it could have kind of put the Raiders a little bit off kilter when he was in, too, not knowing what to expect from him.
Oh, yeah. Antonio Pierce, the head coach for the Raiders, had to be like, when that Monday morning came out and said DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs, he had to be like, Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Man, if this week wasn't already going to be rough.
Right? I mean, just think of DeAndre Hopkins, too, though, and how excited he is to go from a
one-win
struggling Tennessee Titans to the, Super Bowl champs and undefeated
Dynasty.
Chiefs, right? Like,
Yeah, it's the same thing that we hated the Patriots for. Patriots got to pick up all kinds of people.
Randy
all
Moss.
kinds of people
Yep.
wanted to come because they had that there, and
Yep. And now
we
Kansas
are
City is
so
the destination.
blessed
Yep.
right now. We are so blessed.
It
and
just keeps getting better. And Brett Veach is every move he
genius.
makes is like he's got the Midas touch, know?
every move Brett makes. Yeah, I mean, so I do have to start off by saying I got to give it to the Raiders. They played us 3 quarters hard as a rock, man.
Mhm.
I mean, I was
their
on the edge
defense
of my
was
seat.
Awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't poor play on our part that kept the score where it was. It was definitely the Raiders.
Their offense wasn't doing bad either.
No, their offense was tangible.
Yeah. It
Truly.
was just like they were just, dinking and dunking it down the field. And it was just frustrating, I guess, for me to watch because I was like, oh my gosh, we can't get a stop. But we weren't giving up anything big. It was just annoying. I just wanted them off the field.
Yeah, we weren't giving up rushing at all. I
No.
mean, how much rushing
I think
did
like
they have?
32 yards or
it
something
was,
total.
Yeah, it was in the 30s, I think.
Yeah, 33 yards total
My
rushing.
biggest surprise
Wow.
was something we talked about in the pregame episode, and they were talking about a lot about on the local radio station here, was the Raiders' strategy was going to be to bully the Chiefs and late hits and I mean I think we saw that a little bit, but I was
Antonio Pierce literally said it on a
oh
podcast.
yeah they
He was
weren't
on there
trying
with
to hide it.
Crosby, the
Yep.
guy you like that I hate.
I don't like him as a Raider.
You just
He's an
respect
ass.
him as a football
But
player.
absolutely.
I
I
respect
think
him
if
as
he
a
was
football
Chief,
player.
I think you would love him.
He's the guy that I definitely would not want to have a beer with ever.
Really?
Yeah, really. I really don't like him.
I'd
really
like to go play
he-
some pool, maybe
Dude,
go
he
bowling.
rubs me the wrong way. I'd like to headbutt him.
I bet he's fun to hang out with.
Now, if I did that, you guys would never see me again because he would kill
I
me.
was gonna
But-
say.
You would, yeah.
Yep.
Well, you'd probably kill yourself
Even
headbutting him.
20 years ago, he would destroy me.
Yeah.
Back when I was pretty tough.
He's a big bad boy for sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't like him. I don't know.
And I was kind of going when we did the pregame episode. I talked a little bit about the injury to Crosby, and I didn't think he was going to play. And it was late into the first half when I was like, "Wait a minute, is Crosby playing?" Because they didn't say his name at all.
He was pretty quiet
He
in the
was
game,
completely eliminated by the game plan by Andy Reid, and I absolutely love that. They just kind of take away the best player, and may your other 10 guys do what they may. And I think that our best 10 can beat your best 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the game, we came out hot, like on the first drive, came out hot, got scored on the first drive, had that,
Got
first one
Hopkins,
to
his first
Hopkins,
catch. Yep.
got Worthy involved in the game, I believe.
Real early. Yep.
Got Kelce involved, but then as soon as we sent it back to the Raiders, they came out hot, went right down and scored.
Did you notice for Worthy, they were getting Worthy involved differently tonight? I felt like instead of before, it was always the down the field passes or like
The gadgets.
like the what are those called where you like run the jet
sweep.
sweeps?
Yep.
Like I feel like that's all he was doing before, and tonight it was more like him in the slot, him in like the
running actual routes.
route running middle of the field, and I mean, I would say it went better than I thought it would go. He's not a big guy, and he usually relies a lot on his speed. And I think whenever he was contested, it was difficult, and he wasn't making the catches. But I like that they're trying to get him involved differently. I think that will help in the future.
My guess is that Worthy in college relied a lot on the speed and just going downfield and going up and being better than the other person. I mean, if you look at, I think 6% of college players make it to the NFL. So, he's going up against these guys and he is taking it away. But I think what this shows you tonight is that the Chiefs have been really working on him. And might over expect from him a little too much just because of all the injuries. I think Worthy'd be a non-topic if Hollywood Brown and Rice were still on the team and weren't hurt. Like it would be we would have seen a lot better things from Worthy because he wouldn't have been leaned on as much. And I'm hoping that he has a really good mental tenacity because a lot of times this breaks, young players when
I feel like he does because you can tell a lot when the cameras are rolling on the sidelines between plays and during the commercial breaks, and you get to see the guys kind of in their natural. They don't realize that they're on camera at the moment, and you can kind of see their mood, their attitude. And I feel like he's always got a smile on his face. He knows this is a huge learning experience, and he hasn't done anything to muck it up at all. It's just he hasn't made all of the catches. So tonight we saw, like you said, he was more like a receiver. He was running routes. They were running more plays with him being the lead receiver. So I still feel like the future is really, really bright for Worthy.
Oh, for sure. And I don't know if it'll help or hurt him if they're paying attention to him more, if he's catching more, shorter passes and things like that. But I do think it will allow them where they're not just running, like as soon as he gets off the line of scrimmage, they just bolt, so that they have a little bit of an edge on him, right? If he's doing the, curl routes or something where he's coming back and they have to be prepared for that as well, I feel like it's going to open up the entire game for him.
Right.
And we have to remember, he's played 7 games now. He's really starting to come into it after 7 games. Tonight was a little bit of a mixed bag. He was targeted 8 times, caught it 4 times. He did have one where you guys will have to tell us at home. Leave it in the comments, what you thought here. But on the tipped pass, where it was, was it a tipped pass? It was either Worthy's hand touched the ball or the defender's hand touched the ball, but Noah Gray came up with the ball. I'm pretty sure the Raider defender's hand hit the ball first. My colleague here, Mel, also thinks that, but Buck believes that it hit Worthy's hands first. So you guys tell us what you saw.
Okay. So if it hit the defender's hands first, that may be true. Okay, so we did have a glitch in the video at that moment, like just a tiny glitch, so it was kind of hard to tell.
Oh, it's super hard to tell.
Yeah. So, but Worthy's hands definitely touched it. So it's possible, and that's possible. Yeah, it's possible that it hit his hands. So I don't care whose hands fit it first. My point was that it hit Worthy's hands. So if it hit the defender's hands first, that's cool. Then it bounced off 2 guys.
I think the story we want to tell here is that the defender tipped it, and then Worthy tipped it to his guy, Noah Gray, so that he could make the catch. It was just a really heads up play. You know
what Worthy didn't do at all, and he hasn't done it at all this season? He has not tipped up a ball to be intercepted.
Well, that one kind of.
According to you.
No, that Noah Gray caught it.
Yeah, but that's a tipped up to be intercepted.
But it didn't get tipped up, though. It barely tipped off his fingers. It almost didn't even deflect the ball much.
Yeah.
2 guys touching it didn't deflect the ball much.
True.
But yeah, the Raiders looked way better than expected. I saw Worthy up and down throughout the game. He's definitely vibing. Mahomes and Kelce both broke their no TD streak. Kelce was
it's his first one all year, right?
It's his first one all year. But Mahomes hadn't had one for
11 quarters,
2.5 games or something.
Almost 3 full games worth.
This was his first one in October.
It was over 100 throw attempts for him.
I will say Mahomes in general just looked much more like Mahomes this game than I had seen him any other game before this. He was I felt like we relied more on the passing game than we did on the running game, which was really nice to see. And I felt like balls were thrown where they were intended to be thrown. People were catching them. I think we got the momentum and I think we ran with it. And I think that felt really good. Even with a 1 pick, I feel like it's still we're always going to have, it was a tip for him. So I'm not going to count that against him.
That wasn't a bad throw. It
Yeah.
was a oopsie daisy type
Yeah.
thing that just happens.
When they go back to Worthy, I remember one play specifically. Worthy was on the sideline and Mahomes threw it, and it was like to Worthy's side towards the end zone. So it looked like Mahomes threw it off, but I believe what
He was
Mahomes
leading
was
him.
thinking was, Worthy, you need to be aware that there's nobody on your right side and start running so that you can catch this in stride. And I think that's what Mahomes was thinking. And Worthy was just like, catch this ball, catch this ball, catch this ball,
Yeah.
catch this ball.
Well,
You
I
know?
think that's a lot of it with Mahomes this year, to be honest, is, I mean, Mahomes didn't all of a sudden go from being an all-star passer to throwing 5 yards off his target every time. Like, I feel like it's just him vibing with the new receiving core, with everybody else that's out there, trying to figure out like what he's thinking. That's why Travis usually catches it, because Travis knows where to go, and him and Mahomes communicate very well without having to talk to each other, right?
Same with Juju. They instantly got that type of chemistry.
A lot of it too has been the offensive line play has been sporadic.
True.
And he's not sure when he can trust him. So it's been a struggle. Bob's noticed early on that, Mahomes doesn't seem to be looking off defenders as much this season. Not much at all, really. And I think
he's pump faking.
And I think that comes back to the whole offensive line. I think that's getting.
I think that's also trying to read his
Better.
receivers, though, don't you think, too? Like,
yeah.
before he was confident that his receivers knew what he was thinking, so he could look over here and know that his receiver was doing what he wanted them to
And
do
be in the right
and
spot.
then throw the ball. I feel like now he's like watching them because he's like, where the fuck are you going to go?
Well,
Because I think you're
see-
going to go over there, but maybe not.
That's what so that's the deal. And I think, so I kind of, an earlier episode, I talked about Mahomes and how maybe his commercials and different things off the field might be distracting and be taking up too much time. But I got to thinking about it. He always does his Mahomes camp where the wide receivers come out. He pays for them to come out. They all stay together for like a week or two.
And none
They
of those
did
guys are
that.
there anymore.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like, if Hollywood was there, he probably did practice the no look with Hollywood. Like, because that is most likely practiced. I could be talking out my ass here. I don't know that this is true, but I'm guessing they would do drills where he would say a route, right? And then he would go and look this way and then just throw. And
I think it's practice,
see that
and I
he's
think
on
it's
that route.
trust, right? I think he doesn't have the trust yet with the individuals that are playing at wide receiver right now. And so
Seems like he's trusting Worthy this game.
he was, but he's still, I don't think, at the trust level where he trusts him to run the route the way that he anticipates him to run the route every time.
Maybe.
I think they're trying to get him more involved in that route running, but I don't think he's there yet. And I don't think after the route, like, I feel like with Kelce knows what to do when the route is over and he's not open. He knows where to go with that, right? I think the others are still trying to figure that out. And I think that it's a struggle between what Mahomes thinks they should do, what they actually do, and then how to get them that ball.
Yeah.
Well, what it comes down to is they need to realize where Patrick wants them on the field.
Right.
And that needs to come naturally to them because Patrick is the one flying the ship, right? But since we're talking about Worthy, I think there's another aspect of the whole DeAndre Hopkins pickup that we haven't even discussed yet is what a mentor for this young wide receiver that is trying to make it as a number one wide receiver. And DeAndre Hopkins comes in here and he does it the right way. We've seen it year after year, and his numbers are just phenomenal. Last year he had 1,000 yards with Will Levis. I think Will Levis ended up with 1,500 yards and 1,000 of them were to Hopkins. So just having that experience and the understanding of the game of football that he has, and he can pass it on to Worthy. That's another aspect that I'm really excited about.
I wonder
Not just Worthy. I mean, when Hollywood comes back,
Yeah.
if Hopkins stays and we get Hollywood again, I mean, we kind of have to like write Rice off right now. It's unfortunate, but we kind of have to.
Yeah.
He's going to be suspended next year unless
We won't see him again for another year.
unless he pays
Over a year.
off the people
To
a
be
ton
honest,
of money. He's going to be suspended,
I
and
think you're-
rightfully so.
Yeah.
I think you're writing off Rice too early, though. I think Rice will depend on how he spends this time, where he's injured or suspended, right? And I think that if he takes this time to be in the, video room with Hopkins and learning from everybody and trying to figure it out and just getting better without like the mental game of football, getting better at that. And then once he gets off of injury, then he's suspended. Okay. Well, now he can be practicing and he can be, like honing his craft that way. I think he just, I get what you're saying. We don't have to worry about him, but I think so much depends on how he uses this time off.
But the time is so. The reason that I brought it up in a few episodes back is because next year would be his 3-year contract running out. And he's going to be wanting a payday. And I don't know that the Chiefs give him a payday because of all of the things that they've had to deal with. So that's the whole point.
I think he'd be ridiculous to want a payday after being out an entire season and then being suspended for a half a season. I think he would be crazy.
Somebody's going to be
teams will.
Somebody else will be willing to throw that out there.
I think if we win the Super Bowl this year, I think he will do whatever he can to stay here. And I think he'll try to prove himself.
Maybe. I mean, he's got to get his payday.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get at least twice what he could get here, maybe more.
From another team. That's
man,
why
that's hard to turn down. I mean,
yeah, we have to build for the future without that because I don't think
Tyreek Hill did it.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, even
but Hill
DeAndre
was
Hopkins
one of the
did
best.
it. He could have come to us,
and we could have won 5 Super Bowls in a row, and he knew that. But it wasn't about the Super Bowls for him; it was about the payday.
Yep.
But he already proved himself to be the best.
So now he's the best on a shit team.
Yeah, but Rice hasn't proved himself to be the best, so he can go to another team, and then he could crap out very early on. Like whereas he could stay here and continue to grow and be even better and make millions of dollars more in 3 years.
But that's not how these guys think.
I know.
We think it would be smart, but most likely he won't and his agent won't. Right. And that's the whole point. That's why we have to plan for him not coming back to the Chiefs, really.
Yeah. There's a lot of good receivers out there, though, as you can see from the market just with the trades recently, with how many receivers have been traded recently. I mean, there's a lot of good receivers out there that haven't been suspended for a half a year, who haven't been out for a year on injury. Like, I don't know that he's going to get the super big payday that everybody thinks he's going to.
So I wanted to bring this up. I keep forgetting on different episodes, but it's been a fire sale on high-paid wide receivers. Receivers, there's more like top-end receivers being traded than I think I've ever seen in the NFL before the trade deadline. The trades for wide receivers have been absolutely nuts.
It's like all that's being traded right now, or all that's we're hearing about.
I think it's because when Davante Adams went to the Raiders stupidly overpaid the crap out of him. And you shouldn't overpay wide receivers because that's just one dude on the field. Like it's just not good. But that started a cascade effect of we were going to keep Tyreek Hill until Davante Adams got the huge contract, and then Tyreek Hill wanted more, and then all the receivers started to get paid.
Yep.
And now teams are realizing, well, we can't do it with just a wide receiver. We saw that with Tyreek Hill when Tua was out. He didn't do it. He didn't do anything. And so everybody's like, well, maybe we'll just get rid of this off our list, And I think that's what's going on.
Cool. That'll be good for us because that's exactly what we need.
Well, we did not pay an arm and a leg for a receiver, which is nice.
No, but I would be willing to going, maybe a couple 2-3 year contract with DeAndre after this. I would love for him to be on this team for a while. The leadership and the ability. I mean, he's going to lose speed over time. He's 31, 32 years old. So he'll get a little bit slower, but when you catch that ball and you're dependable and the quarterback knows that he can trust that he knows where you're going to be, that's worth.
Speed isn't his thing.
No, it never has been. Right.
So
and for the greats, it never is in the later part of their career. But we saw Jerry Rice at age 40 was able to get over 1,000 yards. So after us looking at that episode, I'm so excited to keep him for years to come. But guys, I got to call the timeout. All right. We're back from timeout. So where were we? Oh, I do know what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Wanya Morris.
Whew.
You know how, like, when we were kids, we used to wrap our finger around our thumb and we'd flick people on the ear. That's what I want to do to Wanya Morris.
That's not a good idea. He is a big man. He is a large individual.
That's along the lines of headbutting Crosby. You're just going to get your ass beat.
Dumb idea.
I still want to do it.
Okay, but hold on. So that second one where you got called for 2 in a row, that second one was complete trash.
BS.
Complete trash.
Yeah, it was.
He barely even touched the guy.
You're talking about the one where
Crosby fell down.
They go, he pushed him down, and I was like, the guy fell over and he went like this on him.
He
all right,
almost
you're down.
hold him up. I mean,
well, and these were close to the end zone, and it was close to a safety.
Yep.
I mean, honestly,
the first one was a hold. I mean,
and
the third one,
and the second one wasn't wasn't even close to the end zone, but the first one was an actual hold, and scary how close he was to the end zone. And I love how non-Chiefs fans that just will they'll be like, that should have been a safety. I want to ask these non-Chiefs fans, is there any time that you think that the penalty wasn't just, or is there any time you think literally these people think that every penalty should be against the Chiefs and every penalty isn't called against the Chiefs?
Yes.
Absurd.
My friend that's a Lions fan is almost more of a Chiefs hater than he is a Lions fan. And that's all I get the whole time. Oh, the Chiefs are clearly on, or the refs are clearly on the Chiefs. Man, shut up with all this. It's ridiculous.
Well, I just want to ask.
But that was not
our calls
that was not
ever
in the end
good?
zone.
Did you ever go?
No.
Yeah, that was a fair call.
It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't in the end zone. And I will say, you say this is horrible on him. And yes, it was a bad move on his part. But at the same time, if he hadn't have held, that guy likely would have gotten right in on Mahomes. And
I mean, he still got right in on Mahomes.
Exactly. But he gave him an extra 0.2 seconds to get the ball out of the And that's what I'm saying is that I don't think that these guys hold just to be the savior. They hold because I mean, it's a risk reward type of thing. It's like, I can either hold you and maybe Mahomes gets this ball out, or I cannot. And
he's going
well,
down.
It's obviously Wanya Morris's main strategy.
True.
Well, you know what?
He's like,
you know what name we didn't say?
He's just not as good. He just wasn't a good matchup for
We're
Crosby.
not complaining about Juwan Taylor at all tonight, are we? He didn't get one penalty
I didn't hear his
today.
name at all.
No.
True.
Yeah. Golf clap for Juwan Taylor.
I mean, but both those tackles, I mean, come on.
When we clap for you after going one game without a penalty, let's just put that in perspective here.
Let's go 2 games in a row, and we'll give you 2 golf claps.
I mean, both of them kind of are interchangeable to me at this point. They're both soft.
To be honest, though, I feel like
I said it.
When, as the Chiefs, when we get one penalty, we somehow end up just spiraling out of control into penalties. Every week it seems like we get one penalty and then the next play is another penalty and then the next play. And this one didn't seem as bad because it was always just half the distance to the goal and we were already on the 3-yard line. So it didn't really matter.
I hate that rule.
But if we weren't, it would have been 3rd and 35. It was every time we get one penalty, we just keep going and I don't know if it's that the refs maybe it's that when somebody gets a penalty, they need to be a little bit more focused that the refs are watching them again on the next play, because they obviously are.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And we
Absolutely.
had 8 penalties, losing 55 yards, as opposed to the Raiders' 5 penalties, losing 32 yards.
I think this is the second time this season, or maybe even the third time, that we've had back-to-back penalties on 2 plays on the same player. I'm pretty sure it happened to Juwan Taylor.
It
and
definitely
I feel like
happened
it
to Taylor.
happened to somebody else too.
Did we?
Back-to-back play, that's inexcusable.
Does Morris play the same position as Taylor?
Yeah, yes, on the other side.
Okay.
So remember Suamataia. Remember he started the season and he was really, really struggling against the the Lions. Yeah, with Hendricks.
Yep. And then last week he was the main sun shield for the Chiefs bench at 49ers Stadium.
Yeah, in San Francisco.
Yes, I remember that.
So he replaced him after that game. They replaced
Most
him.
people bring tents.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, all in all, though, we destroy them in most stats. I mean, third down efficiency, we went 12 for 16, 75%. They went 6 for 13, 46.2%.
What is our year average on third down attempts? Do you guys know?
I was just thinking that myself. Like, we've got the stats for the game. I'd kind of like to see the stats for the game versus the stats for the season, just to see, like, is that above average? I feel we're in the 60s, I believe. We're usually
in the 60s each game that you and I have talked about this after having the stats, like since we've been doing this format after the game. But yeah, it's crazy. And then look at what else. Oh my gosh. There was something else. Sacks. We had 5 sacks. They were quiet.
They were, yeah.
I remember Carr Loftus sack, but the other ones were quiet. We had 5. Tranquil had one. Chenel had one. Chanel, who I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. Chanel is
He's been around for a couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, is he the defensive tackle?
No, he's a linebacker. But when you got Bolton back there, that's all we ever pay attention to.
Yeah,
Chanel's
Bolton
like a
takes away. We had one from Wharton, one from Pennell. I mean,
Pennell.
Either way. Pennell. Sorry, excuse my French. But yeah, they had one. They had one sack. Like, look at tackles for loss. We had 7. They had 3. I mean, quarterback hurries. We had 8. They had 3. I mean, yeah.
So we're at
pass deflections 4. Oh no, they actually beat us there. They had 4. But I mean, we defensively just destroyed them. And then speaking of defense destroying, oh my gosh, guys, like, think about that. It was in the third quarter. We're backed up. We had those 2 penalties, from Wanya Morris, almost got a safety. Mahomes goes to throw it. It gets tipped. It gets picked off. They're in the red zone right there, literally at the front gate.
And what do they choose to do?
Give the ball back to the Chiefs.
No.
They choose to run.
Yeah.
And run.
And run.
And run. And not get anywhere.
Right. And then turn it over on 4th down back to the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, they threw it on the last one, on the 4th down.
But they didn't throw it. They got sacked. He got a sack.
Yeah. But they tried to throw it.
Right.
But we destroyed them there. I mean, that's so, like, so cool. I mean,
I did find we had 45% for 2024. We have a 45% third down conversion rate.
Only 45. Wow.
Yeah, so we're like way above average with
but
this
I think
game.
that 45 though that's like a really off year for Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, 100%.
I think
this
we're
year
normally
though,
in the
so
60s.
far has been really bad on third down.
I think the last 3 games have been in the 60s, and that's why I saw that. Because, we weren't stat people before, but we're becoming stat.
You kind of
people.
have to.
The last 3 games is
kind of fun.
52% average.
The last 3 games?
Yeah.
Huh. 52.
But it could have been like one of them was low and the
Yeah.
other 2 were 60 something.
Well,
so
this one was 75.
yeah.
Well, and then you look at the receiving on their team, and their quarterbacks, I have to say quarterbacks, hit 7 different wideouts, or well, receivers, not wideouts, like could have been tight ends, blah, blah, blah. We hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different receivers.
Well,
Mahomes hit.
actually 9, because Fortson only had 1 attempt. He didn't actually catch it, so.
But we
Oh,
threw
true,
it.
true.
9
We
receivers.
threw it to 10
caught.
different people.
Yes.
Fortson got hurt at the end of the game. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We didn't have a lot of injury problems, though.
Can we talk about the fact that it's National Tight
Tight
End
Ends
Day,
Day.
and our tight ends really showed up?
Yeah.
I mean, across the league, in fantasy,
Yeah.
we had multiple tight ends getting over 30 points in like standard scoring leagues.
Yeah, my tight end in my fantasy league usually doesn't get much. I mean, it's like a consistent like 10 to 12, and I'm like, all right, I can deal with that, right?
Well, I think
I
a
got
lot
me
of the
25 today.
the whole 2 deep safety defense, that's the whole new strategy to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's going around the NFL. I think that's the answer, is they're throwing over
Sure.
the middle to the tight ends, they're throwing out to the flats to the tight ends a lot, and that's the nullifier to that defense. So I think we'll see that a lot this year. See it a little bit next year. Defenses will have to straighten up a little bit, kind of show their colors a little bit more.
I mean, honestly, what in this day and age, what is the biggest difference between a receiving tight end and a wide receiver?
Tight ends are better at blocking, and they
Well,
still block
and
a
they're
little bit. Yeah.
A lot bigger
Yeah.
and slower.
Sure, but we've got like slot receivers that are slower too. You know what I mean? I guess I'm just like, would anybody question if Travis Kelce was a slot receiver?
Oh, and he does that sometimes.
He does. I know.
Yeah. I mean, lots of tight ends do that, but
Mhm.
yeah, you would question it. It would be, I mean, Travis Kelce isn't making cuts like Julian Edelman could,
That's fair.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, a slot receiver is going to juke people out of their shoes when they're doing their routes. Like a slot receiver has to run a route better than everybody else on the field.
How do you think Travis gets open so often, though? I mean, Travis
He breaks
is
the defense.
He reads the defense good, instincts.
yeah, but he is
But it's
juking them out
definitely-
of their.
It's not route running. If
He's
you
not
see
really
him, he looks like
juking
a
too
big
much anymore.
Yeti.
He's not breaking many tackles anymore.
Yeah, he
He's
looks
not
like a
breaking
big
many-
Yeti running.
Yeah, no, I know, but he's like he knows when to slow down and when to speed up, and he knows when to like switch his.
That's his
He knows how to
football
box
IQ.
out like basketball,
Yeah.
right? Like I think that's his big thing. He knows how to box them out, and like just like tonight, he had a
That's a very
catch
good
where he
point.
was like the receiver was right there, and he was just like he grabbed the ball, he put it over here, and he was like, "Get out of here! Like get out of my way!" Like he didn't get much after that, but he wasn't going to lose the ball to that. You know,
That's a very good point that the basketball chops kind of probably help him quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else?
Noah Gray had a really good day.
Noah Gray had an amazing day across the board, blocking, doing all kinds of different stuff. He caught that tip from Worthy, and it turned into a first down. Huge heads-up play. Noah Gray is amazing. Also, Reed had a quiet, really good game. I know.
He had some really nice open field tackles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it looked like, he, screwed up on the one TD, but he didn't. His hand was right there. I mean, you couldn't do better defense unless his hand was just like 4 inches to the left.
The Raiders had some very good
Very good catches.
highly very well covered catches.
Mhm.
And I mean I had to be impressed during the game as much as it annoys me. It helped that we were winning. I could appreciate some of those things. Usually, if we're losing, I don't appreciate that at all. But I think that they had some very good catches that were very well defended by our part, and I don't always see that from the opposing offenses.
Well, and the Raiders definitely, if the Raiders could play like this for the rest of the season against other teams,
Their playoff.
then they could possibly make the playoffs. The problem is that's not the way the NFL works. The NFL divisional games, you get 2 shots at them every year. So you know a lot about that team.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas everybody else that you play, well, not everybody, like, because they do things where we do play the the Bengals every year, and we do play the Bills every year. But the NFC teams that we play rotates every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we only play the Cowboys every 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why those games are so different. But divisional games are always super competitive. I remember when the Raiders had Gannon and were good, and the Chiefs sucked. The Chiefs still always put up good games and often beat the Raiders, even though the Raiders were a much better team.
You remember the game we went to in Denver where they had Peyton Manning, right?
And he threw four
picks
before
to
halftime.
The Chiefs, and we were awful that year, like so bad that year. We had taken my stepbrother because he's a big Denver Broncos fan. And we were all there thinking like this is going to be the greatest thing for him. And like just sitting there in the stands like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Happy birthday. I hope you like, I don't know what to do. God.
I will say, you say that the Chiefs tend to play down to their competition for the most part, especially this season.
A lot of people.
I will say that even though this game wasn't really close at the end, the Chiefs didn't play down to the Raiders. I think the Raiders definitely played up, and I think they definitely surprised me with as well as they played, especially in the first half. I think Spags was kind of playing a little bit more of a bend don't break in the first half. He wanted to learn, what kind of adjustments were going to need to be made, and then he made them.
He did, and it's nuts to me how he just continues to be like, and we saw it backfire a little bit, right? We saw the aggressiveness where he sent everybody, and at the very last minute, Minshew got it off and they got a TD. And that's the chance you have to take. And 9 times out of 10, that didn't backfire on us. 9 times out of 10, we got the sack, right? And that time we didn't, and that's fine. We still won. But they said something at the beginning of the game where they said since 2019, I think, each year that Spags has been here, the allowed points per game has gone down. And they had this cool graph that showed like, it was say 30 or something. And then the next year it was 27. And then the next year it was 25. And the next year it was 24. And like every single year points per game has gone down, which is just nuts. Like he's just getting better and better and better.
And we are so lucky that Spags already got a head coach job. He kind of struggled, and it looks like he doesn't want to do that again. And so, top paid defensive coordinator of the league. He's happy
in the
here.
Middle of a dynasty.
Yeah, we're lucky.
One of the best head coaches, to ever coach, and to be, the way that he runs his team. That's got to be just a fun locker room.
But if he hadn't have been a head coach, I mean, that's why people don't three-peat. Like, to be honest,
they lose their coaches.
They lose their coordinators, not their coach, like not their head coach.
Right,
they lose their coordinators.
Yeah, well, I mean, coordinators are coaches too.
Yeah, but and we don't really have that problem. We've had the consistency there, and that's just crazy. And it just keeps getting better.
Not so much with the offensive coordinator. We've lost a few of those, but we all kind of know who's really
Nagy's
the offensive.
Been with us.
He's been
a few
off and
years
on
now, yeah,
off and on. He went,
but I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're fine on offense. Like, we've got Andy Reid, and it's like you can plug and play somebody in there. And I'm not saying that Matt Nagy doesn't do anything, because I'm sure he has a lot of contributions. I just think that Reid would make anybody do that too.
Yeah, well, look what happened to Bieniemy. He was supposedly the
college now.
He was supposedly the genius behind the offense, but he left and lost his job in Washington. And
after a year,
we seem to keep doing all right without him. I'm not saying that he sucks at his job. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it. I don't think, like you said, I don't think it matters who's in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he brought different things to the table, and I think Nagy brings different things to the table. But I think the glue is Reed, and I think Reed kind of inspires them to bring different things. And he's never going to hire somebody that doesn't have an intuitive mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he just wants people that are going to think outside the box. And it's crazy to me that Reed can do that, because he's been in the league so long, right? Like, usually you see people get kind of stuck in their ways, and he's never been that guy.
My way or the highway.
Always evolved.
Especially as they get older.
Yeah. And there are things that, yes, he is stuck in his ways about, right? Like, I think training camp comes to mind, where they still do training camp very differently than maybe other teams. And he's like, well, it's working. Why would we change it? But, you know, the play calling and the types of plays that he's calling is just nuts.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm just gushing, but yeah. Anything else you guys? Yeah, anything else you guys want to kind of like look into? We were confused looking at the stats. Like, Kelce had a fumble. We're like, huh? We're like, oh yeah, the designed lateral play. They actually designed one. And then that didn't work, even though
it did.
The spur of the moment ones worked.
It definitely didn't work as it was drawn up, you know. But it ended up being our advantage, as the commenter said when the play happened. I think him fumbling it kind of helped, because that changed the directions of the defenders. They were going for the ball rather than where he was going to be, so that kind of helped him get the yardage he needed on that. But, you know, that's kind of Travis Kelce, right? He, you know, even when things go wrong, things kind of go right for him. He's just that kind of guy. They said during the broadcast, I'm pretty sure, that him and Mahomes are have the most touchdowns, like as a third most touchdowns, quarterback, tight end combo in NFL history.
Who else? Who's beating them?
You know, it's probably going to be Brady and Gronk. And then my guess is maybe
Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison.
No, that's wide receiver. It's tight end quarterback.
Oh, tight end quarterback.
I was thinking maybe Drew Brees. He had Jeremy Shockey there for a while, maybe.
Yeah, he didn't play with him long enough.
You don't think?
No.
I don't know. Antonio Gates and...
Might have been Tony Gonzalez, to be honest.
What? Shockey was on the Giants.
Oh, who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Antonio Gates.
No, Antonio Gates was with the Chargers. But it could have been Antonio Gates and Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, maybe. Drew Brees.
Oh, look at this. Mel's going to jujule it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Besides
Hunt struggled a little bit today.
He did. He didn't. He looked gassed again.
The Raiders' defense is pretty good.
I think he's kind of beat up a little bit.
You think so? I just think
he's been pushing himself hard. I'm not disappointed. I'm not down on Hunt. None of that. I think he played his heart out. He absolutely tried even when he was getting tackled at the line, you know, or even his one or two lost plays, he still was fighting every
I would
inch.
love to see the Raiders rushing D, because I'm guessing that their rushing D is just really good.
It's really good, yeah.
I think it was really good. I also think he still averaged about 3 yards a carry, which is still very strong for as many times as he was getting stuffed at the line. He would push through for an extra yard or two. And I think him having a rougher rushing game allowed us to own the passing again, right? Which is what we've kind of been missing. We haven't gotten into a groove with our passing, and I felt like we did tonight.
100%. Mahomes, that's another record they talked about during the game. Mahomes is the fastest quarterback to 30,000 yards by, I can't remember exactly how many games it was, but it was several games. It wasn't even like close. I think it was like 105 games to, I think next was like 110 games, something like that, 111. So several games. So
yeah,
congratulations, Patrick Mahomes, and thank you for being a Chief.
Yep. And it looked like an actual Patrick Mahomes game, you know.
Little
20,
bit.
like 27 for 38, 262 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. I mean, this looked like a Patrick Mahomes game.
And the one interception, so he's had interceptions in still every single game this season, but they're definitely becoming less frequent and they're definitely becoming less his fault. This one was just like we talked about, it was just kind of a freak play. It hit the guy in the helmet just as he was following through with the ball. Last game, I think he did have one. That was the one where Worthy fell down was the one, and the other one got tipped.
Yep.
So,
and I'm pretty sure
he's throwing it better.
Tripped later on,
and that may be, and we don't know what would have happened had he stayed up. It still may have been intercepted. Who knows? The butterfly effect. Everything could change, but. The point of the matter is he's still making better decisions. He's making better throws. He's not making the stupid interceptions like he was the first several games.
Yeah.
And we're just starting. I mean, this is when, traditionally the Chiefs start getting better and better. And
to be undefeated at the time where we start ramping up is a crazy feeling. Right? Like, I think usually right now we've lost 2 or 3, like probably 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Like at this point in the season, typically we've lost about 2 games and we start to get our stride.
This is where we started last year when we had that 8-game stretch and we lost 5 of them. I think we were right in the middle of that stretch where we were like, oh, come on. and this is only the 3rd time in the history of the Chiefs organization that we've been 7-0.
Yeah.
That seems a little weird for me.
It is crazy.
The last 2 years, the slower starts, everybody around town was like, same old, we're back. And I kept telling people, guys, just give it some time. Both years, boom, we just went into full drive.
It's so true. I'm almost worried this year that we've started in full drive. Maybe we'll lose our momentum because it's so funny. The last couple of years, it has been very much like everybody's like, oh, the Chiefs aren't that. They're not that anymore, blah, blah, blah. And like this year, it seems like most of the media is like, I've been fooled before. I will not bet against the Chiefs. It's just not worth it. I'm just going to go with it. And like even if they see things that it's like, oh, Mahomes isn't throwing great right now, it's fine. They're still going to win. I don't know how.
Yep. They're still not going to go undefeated.
No, I agree.
Yes, they're absolutely looking better.
I have a lot more faith now.
I do too.
I talked about it
but I don't want
week.
them to go into the playoffs undefeated. I don't want it. I don't think that's good for.
How much it gave them losing to the Raiders on Christmas Day.
Yes.
Like that lit a fire under their ass that made them be who they are going to be. Now, I think that the 3-peat chance and the chance of going undefeated, I do think that they would continue to improve and continue to put everything out there. I think we're going to lose some stupid game.
We'll lose the last game of the year. I mean, they're going to bench everybody if
That's
we're
true.
undefeated at that point.
100%. I
don't even know if we lose that.
We will. If Mahomes isn't the starter.
Who do we play the
Carson
last game
Wentz?
of the year?
You trust him to go out and win a game with a bunch of backups?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
We have
the way we've been playing.
You guys,
maybe.
we have like 3 games in 10 days or something. Like we're gonna lose a game, and it's just gonna be fatigue, and it's gonna be fine, and we'll get over it. Like
3 days and
well, it's like 14 days or something.
Okay, I was about to say 3 games in 10 days. That doesn't compute.
No, but it's like a Thursday,
then a
Sunday, or it's like a Monday and then a Thursday and then a Saturday or something. Like I don't know. I could look it up. It would be very easy to look up, but
I don't think we have any more Thursday games. I could probably say that.
I know we have a Friday game.
But yeah, do you guys have anything else you want to throw in about the game before we start wrapping up?
Just Kelce's back, baby. I mean, I love the way that this offense has kind of opened things up, and this is going to be great for Kelce's numbers and Kelce's attitude.
I will say
Taylor wasn't there again.
Yeah, I will say Jeremy
She had a concert.
I know, but
like Jeremy, who was one of our call-ins, 816-866-1066 if you want to be a call-in. But Jeremy was one of our call-ins. He talked about
he was a couple of our call-ins.
Kelce not looking, like he was into the game and kind of like looking off into the distance, and we saw him in the fourth quarter. He was sitting there.
We
by
brought
himself.
that up, Jeremy. By the way, we brought that up during the game.
Yeah, just kind of staring off into space.
Even after he's having a good game,
in
he was
his own head.
He kind of looked bored, and he was sitting by himself. And then
it was weird.
They put up a side screen with Mahomes kind of at the same time as Kelce was looking like that, and Mahomes is engaged and talking to people, and so that was
Kelsey's
a little
like,
weird.
I'm getting old. This shit hurts more than it used to.
Is
like
it that, or is he thinking about his girl?
No, I don't think he's thinking about his girl.
Yeah,
You're nuts.
I don't know, man.
He
I
is
don't know.
very committed. He had a rock star game. He is a professional. He is just, I am sure,
Love
he
is
is
love,
just
baby.
in his head on the sidelines. Like, what could he do better? And I think he's in more pain nowadays. Things hurt a little bit more. And I think he knows that he hasn't had a rock star season, and he's just more reflective on the sidelines rather than celebratory, because he's very much at the stage of his career where he can't celebrate having one good game. He has to have a consistent track of good games for him to feel good about his performance. And I think we're just overreacting. But
something's off, though. Something's definitely off.
I don't think so. But we do have 3 games in, I think it's 12 days. So we have one December 15th, which is a Sunday. Then we have one the 21st, which is the next Saturday. Then we have one on the 25th, which is the next Wednesday.
A Wednesday. That's our Wednesday game.
Yeah, the Christmas game.
Christmas game. Who are we playing on Christmas?
On Christmas, we play the Steelers.
Right.
Oh, the Steelers might be one we drop into.
But then we have a week and a half off, because we don't play.
It's almost like a second bye week.
Yeah, we do. I mean, for the last game of the season against the Broncos.
And then we're not going to play anybody. Yeah. I don't see us even playing our starters as long as we're, maybe.
As long as we've locked in the number one
locked
seed.
in the number one. I don't think we'll play the starters. It doesn't matter how many wins and losses we have.
Oh, yeah. Which would be the smart play, because. Yeah, it doesn't.
Because all that matters
We've
is
lost
the
enough
this
people
time.
this season to risk anything else.
Yep.
Well, to end out the show, though, I kind of wanted to tell a little story that upsets me.
Uh-oh.
So we went to a ribbon cutting for a new charity in Kansas City.
It's not a new charity. They opened a new location. It's the Youth Ambassadors for Kansas City.
Yeah, and we went there, and I saw Sean Barber there, who was a linebacker for the Chiefs.
Tiki Barber's brother.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Tiki Barber had a brother.
Yeah, but it wasn't Sean. It wasn't Sean Barber.
Okay.
Now I'm blanking on Tiki's Rondé Barber and Tiki Barber. Sean Barber was a linebacker drafted by the Redskins linebacker, and then he made his way to Andy Reid's Eagles, and then we got him here in Kansas City after that. And I was a big fan of him, and I saw him at this at this Youth Ambassadors
there was like 4
ribbon cutting.
Chief ambassadors there. There were like just 4 like retired Chiefs players.
Yep, I didn't know any of the other ones, but I knew Sean Barber. So I went up and talked to him, shook his hand, told him how I thought it was. I remembered when he first came over to us, and he had this big old hand cast, and I was like, "Did you ever use that as a weapon?" And we just talked, And I said, "Hey, great to meet you." And then I walked away. And then just a couple days ago, I see him guesting on another local Chiefs podcast of local dudes. And I'm like, why didn't I give him my card?
Didn't even give him the card.
No, I was just like, what?
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Sean, we would love to have you on the show if you actually happen to check this out.
Well, he doesn't have a card. I don't know how he's going to find out about it, but
hopefully he sees us on YouTube or, somewhere. TikTok, whatever.
Yeah, missed opportunity. Swoosh.
Sorry.
All right. Well, that's going to end out the show. You guys can find all of our links at buckandbob.com. That's BUKNBOB.com. And you can send us a email. Our email's on there too. It's just buckandbob at gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail, 816-866-1066. How can you guys help out the podcast? We're trying to grow. We are starting to grow, but we need you guys to tell your friends. We need you to post it on social media. We need you guys to leave us ratings and reviews on both Spotify and iTunes. If you check us out on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. Comments are huge. Help us out there. And yeah, TikTok. I don't know what we do for TikTok. This is my first time using TikTok, but just follow us there. Yeah, like and follow. Leave a comment. I don't know. Yeah, just help us out there. That's how you can help us out. Buck, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, as always. You can also find me on Twitter. It's @Bucktastic, BUK_TASTIK.
And Mel, I'm assuming you're going to say the same thing on the other podcasts.
You can find me occasionally here in the background, yelling at them for bad takes.
And you can find me on X at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. And yeah, let's get out of here, guys.
Well, you can also find us potentially before the game.
Oh, yeah.
On Monday. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Anybody that's going to be tailgating at the game, look for us. We're going to be out there mingling
tweet at
and
them
trying to get some free beer, maybe.
Yeah.
Some free barbecue.
Tweet at us if you're going to be tailgating. Tweet at us, and then we can maybe find you. We're going to be doing just fan interviews, passing out cards, yelling buckandbob.com, just stuff like that. We're going to be doing, it's
going to be fun and exciting. And
I'm a little nervous about it, but we have to get
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, we have to get
fun.
the word out, and it's tailgate, so we'll have a couple bevs. And
the Chiefs Kingdom is very accepting as long as you're wearing red and gold anyway. So it'll all be fun.
If anybody has tickets that aren't too super priced, we'd like to go to the game too. But might see about scalping some while we're there. You never know.
Okay.
All right,
that'd be
guys.
fun, a Monday night game.
Oh, yeah, it'd be amazing. All right, guys, we're out of here. Good night.
Bye.
Till next time.
How about those Chiefs?